Hello, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Megan Ohlendorf, and I manage these online marketing webinars for AVO. Today, we are very excited to have back with us Andrea Cannavina. Andrea has presented with us on one of these legal marketing webinars in the past, and so again, thrilled to have her back today to talk about 30 texts in 30 minutes. So. Just a real quick introduction, and I know Andrea will provide some more details, but Andrea is a legal virtual assistant and digital coach and CEO of her own firm called LegalTypist. She founded LegalTypist almost 10 years ago. Her clients range from solo practitioners, small firms, up to mid-size and even large firms. So today, again, going to be covering 30 texts in 30 minutes, and we really want to make sure we open this up and encourage people to ask questions. So you should see on your screen a question box. So as we go through this, and as you may have a question about something in particular, want us to go into more depth on a particular technology, please let us know and we'll be happy to do that. So with that, I will turn it over to Andrea.
Hi, thank you so much, Megan. It's really a pleasure to be back. This is my second webinar for AVO, and I truly enjoy connecting with everybody through this platform, so it's wonderful that you guys provide it. For those of you new to my world, I'm called a virtual assistant, and a legal virtual assistant to be exact. I help attorneys and law firm administrators set up and/or administer a digital workflow, which is technically what I call the natural evolution of the knowledge worker/assistant relationship. I opened my company, LegalTypist, in April of 2001 when my son was a toddler and my daughter was an infant. I did so because after almost a year of research, I couldn't find one company to work for over the internet doing legal transcription. There's a ton of medical transcription companies to work for, but no legal. So with no one willing to pay me for my skills, fingers, and brain, I learned how to set up a website, and honestly, I've never looked back. I gained my first client within the first month that I opened my doors, and to this day, hi John, he's still a client, and we've gone from being a single person operation to having team members of digital assistants processing the day-to-day work. I'm very proud to say that over the years we've grown and become a resource for over 50 firms now, all U.S.-based, and they're ranging in size from solos to just over 70 attorneys as our largest client to date. So of course, in order to be able to work with so many law firms, I had to refine my processes, research, and implement the best possible technology. I also had to figure out how to delegate to my growing army of experienced fingers and brains so that they could actually process the work of my attorney clients nationwide. I'm not telling you all of this to toot my own horn, although every so often I do have to pinch myself. You know, really, what does all of this have to do with today's topic of 30 texts in 30 minutes? Well, that one's easy. If you don't know how I know what I do, how can you trust the advice and resources I'm going to provide to you? I see it all the time. Supposed, quote, VAs who are nothing more than offshore call-in centers calling themselves virtual assistant services. And then there's the newbie VAs who have no idea what is required of a law firm because they have no legal experience, let alone those who have to figure out how to price and deliver the quality services day in and day out. When you have a single virtual assistant, anything that happens in that virtual assistant's non-virtual life has a tendency to affect it. So it really, you really have to be careful who it is that you follow and the advice that they provide. Now, in the almost decade since I started LegalTypist, I've spoken with hundreds of attorneys and legal staff about the hows and with whats to get the work done. And by work, I mean traditional office duties of typing, timekeeping, calendaring, and client work to the now manipulation of web content and/or data entry into web-based applications. Honestly, each relationship is unique and depends on the tech and the people in place at the firm, as well as what needs to get done. For your information, and you need to know this right from the start, I do not recommend any tech I have not personally used or tested. This is not about affiliate sales for me, but I'm placing my reputation on the line with each and every one of these recommendations. You can go ahead and Google me when you're done. You'll see that I stand behind what I say, including my very unpopular Google is the Borg. Now, as for the tech, let's start with what I have always had. I've had the same 3 requirements for any tech I recommend. Number 1, it has to be secure. Number 2, it has to be easily accessible. And number 3, it has to be end-user friendly. If in my testing any tech does not pass my security scrutiny, it's dropped from the testing process. Likewise, if it is hard to get at or requires special equipment. Finally, if you can securely and easily get at your tech and information, but it isn't intuitive to use, bye-bye. So now you know a little bit about me and my methodology when recommending technology. So let's get started. By the way, my presentation is not meant to be a lecture, but more of a casual conversation. So if you have any questions, please use the chat box, and if I can answer them as we're going along, I will. If not, we can fit them in at the end. So here we go. Let's start with tech number one. Tech number one is domain. You can't really be online without one. It's the web address, the URL, the thing that comes after the @ symbol in your email address, and no two domains are the same. When you think about it, domains are more like web leases. You have to register them and you have to pay an annual fee in order to own one. I use and recommend GoDaddy as a registrar, as you can see from the icon. You just need to make sure that you scroll down to the words "No thanks" in the bottom middle of each page of the registration process, and that will significantly speed up the actual sign-up process. GoDaddy is infamous for the upsell, so you want to just go right past all of that stuff, scroll down to the bottom, hit "No thanks," and you'll get through really quickly. Now when it comes to a domain, you do not need to build a website right away. You can and should set up your domain to use email as soon as possible. When buying a domain, you should always get the .com. I know people like .biz, .net. I've even seen some attorneys with .org, which I thought was reserved for not-for-profits, but you really do, when it comes down to it in the end, you really do want to have the .com. It does make a difference. Now, of course, you're going to have to be creative because over the years, a lot of the more like first initials of many names or your last name or your first initial last name, a lot of these will already be taken, so you have to get a little creative. And when getting a little creative, I tell people to make sure that they keep their specialty and their location in mind. If you, for instance, can't be johnsmith.com, but you can be Dallas business attorney John, then what you're really trying to do is the people that are trying to locate you, you want to conjure up an image of not only a memory of your web domain, but a picture of you in their mind. You really want to try to get those two together. My last little advice on domains is don't get addicted to buying them. I know lots of people who are. They come up with a concept for marketing or an idea for a business, and immediately they go out and research which domains would work, and then they buy them, and then they never develop them. Again, it can get addictive, so when you have, say, 50 web domains, only 2 of them are actually developed. You're paying for that's $480 a year just to keep those domains. So do keep that in mind when it comes to domains. I do not recommend that you use GoDaddy for anything other than registration, and that's because their hosting, their platform, the way that they have you build your websites is a very clunky and slow way to go. So, but for buying a domain and researching the domains that are available, GoDaddy is a great option. Moving along to web hosting, well, you can read and route email just through your domain itself. It's better to do so through a host. Of course, you're also going to need a host to be able to publish a site, a blog, and or any other educational information you have about your services. As I said, I don't recommend GoDaddy. It's just too slow. For my main site, I actually use a small North Carolina-based company called Venue Communications, www.venuecom.com. Along with hosting LegalTypist and law firm solutions, they host my email, and they provide a way for me to send out my e-zine for a flat $20 per month. Doesn't matter how large my list size get. I'd say I pay quarterly, and when all is said and done, for 3 sites in e-zine maintenance, I'm paying less than $1,000 per year. For some of you, you're probably going, what? $1,000 per year, but I can get a host to pay $495 a month and, blah, 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 blah. Yes, you can, which is why you see the HostGator logo up there. For those who are looking for a large discount hosting service, I recommend HostGator. Their servers are located in Texas. They offer access through cPanel and easy WordPress installs. You do not need to get a dedicated server or a reseller account if you're just going to put up one website. So HostGator is a very affordable option for people who don't want to have a private server, and I believe Venue Communications actually leases space from Liquid Server, which is a big company. So I've never been down with Venue Communications. Their people are very nice, they're very helpful, they're very knowledgeable. So if you want to give them a buzz or go with HostGator, either one of them work very well. Now I mentioned WordPress. Who hasn't heard of WordPress? I'm sure there's a few people. If I could poll the audience, there may be one or two of you who hasn't. WordPress is a technology by which you can manipulate the look and content on a website. Most people consider it blogging technology. However, it has morphed and it has grown beyond that with the adoption of themes. WordPress has become a very popular way to manage and administer an entire website, not just a blog. Now there are two ways you can work with WordPress. You can use their hosted site, which is much the same as Blogger. If anybody has been around for the Blogger days, it's Google owned now, but you host your actual blog on Blogger's platform. With WordPress, however, it's recommended that you don't do that. You don't want to be sending people to the WordPress site instead of to your own and tracking through your own stats and stuff. So you just want to do an install of WordPress on your own website, and through it you'll be able to manipulate the content much the same way as you would with Dreamweaver or the now defunct front page. You don't need any experience. There's no coding required whatsoever. You can change the look almost instantaneously by changing the theme that you want applied. The theme is the coding behind that makes a WordPress site look the way that it does. And when you change a theme, your words and the content that you have on the site stay exactly the same, but the look and perhaps the placement of those words is going to be different based on the theme. So you can really get a very customized look if you find a theme that isn't as popular as many are, and you can even develop your own. One theme I do want to mention here is the Headway theme. Headway is a new way of manipulating WordPress that uses things called leafs, and it makes your WordPress site very manipulatable. So if you have no coding experience and you want to play around, certainly by all means take a look at WordPress, install it and see what it does for you. And if you want to apply a theme or if you want to get into it a little bit better, one of the themes I recommend besides Thesis is Headway. Tech number 4 is cPanel. A lot of people have never heard of cPanel, but it's been around longer than even me. It is a technology by which you control the administrative functions of your domain, things such as adding email addresses, installing WordPress, checking your stats. It has nothing to do really with manipulating the content of the actual site, but you can do a lot of, again, the administrative functions. Now, not all web hosts offer cPanel access, which is why I recommend HostGator, as I know that they do. How to tell whether or not your host offers cPanel access would be very simple. You'd enter your domain /cPanel, all in lowercase. If a box pops up for you to log in, then your host does offer cPanel access, even if they don't. Some hosts, by the way, have it, but they don't advertise it. So really this is a great way to tell whether or not they do. If you don't know your user ID or your login information, you can check the welcoming email from the company, or you can call their customer support and ask for it. Once you log in, you'll see much the same as the screen, the picture that I have showing there, with the different things that you can do. What are some of these things? You can check your stats. I know a lot of people advocate using Google Analytics, but I was brought up to be very wary of Google. Google indexes everything. You know, every single time you go to that Google search box from your same ISP sitting at your desktop, every single time you put a search term in there, Google is collating that. It knows your IP address, and it knows every search term you've ever put in there. So I have a tendency to try to want to keep Google away from my stuff, and with AW Stats, I don't need Google Analytics. I can tell who clicked on what page, how long they stayed, how they traveled through, simply by logging into something that's already existent. Now, not only can you check your stats, but you can also add and delete email addresses. You can do forwarders on those email addresses, which means you can take, say, Andrea at lawfirmsolutions.com, and I can forward it to Andrea at LegalTypist.com. Now, why would I want to do this? Why would I just not accept email from Andrea at LegalTypist.com and Andrea at lawfirmsolutions.com? Well, the answer is pretty easy. To administer and maintain an email address takes time. Culling the spam, culling the garbage, doing all of this stuff. If you have to do it for 2 independent email addresses, it's twice as much time as if you have to do it for 1. So I'm really a big proponent of having 1 email address and training your spam filter to be very, very harsh and keeping out all of the stuff that you don't need. What's another thing you can do in cPanel? Well, of course you can install WordPress, and WordPress isn't the only add-on open source type of product that you can install. There's something called Mambo, which will turn your website into an educational website where you can hold classes and do a lot of the things that an educational site would do. There's, what else do we have? We have PHPBB. If anybody's ever seen a forum board, a lot of times they're done in PHPBB, which is bulletin board. And of course there's your WordPress. One other thing that I'd like to note from cPanel that I like to use are the redirects. What's a redirect? Say you have an offer that you want to give out to somebody and you want them to think it's coming directly from your site, but perhaps it's an affiliate sale or something different, or going over to another website. You're referring somebody over to another website. By using a redirect, you can take www.legaltypist.com/test, and I could have that actually go over to, say, a login page or a different website page. So basically, whenever anybody enters that direct address, it's going to bypass your website altogether, and it's going to go to whatever address you tell it to. Redirects can be very useful as well. What's number 5? Tech number 5 is the logo company. And sorry the logo is a little blurry there, but I wasn't able to capture a better image. See, you have a domain and you have a web host and you know how to run the admin functions of your site. What do you need next? You need branding. And for branding, you have to start with a logo. Once you have your logo, you also need stationery. Even in this day and age of electronic, you need to have a few physical tools at your disposal, and one of them are business cards. Business cards are mandatory because you're going to be doing face-to-face networking, and there's nothing more effective than having a business card. Now, for logo creation, I do recommend the logo company. I don't know if you've seen my logo. It's not on here anywhere, but she started out as black and white, and I used the logo company to colorize her and bring her a little bit more into this century. One of the reasons why I like these guys so much is a lot of times I've heard other services such as 99 Designs, and you can put up a bid or you can go here and people will give you these files. But what they neglect to tell you is that the type of file you receive for using online or in digital products is different than the type of file you need when you go to a printer and you have something printed out. If you give your printer a JPEG file, it may work, but it may not also. It may be not as saturated with color. It may not be the best form. It may require tweaking on the part of the printer to turn it into what is called an AI file, which is an Adobe Illustrator file type. And Adobe Illustrators are generally what printers are looking for when it comes to your business cards and stationery. The beauty of the logo company is they will not only design your logo, they will design your stationery, they will design your business cards. $200. Honestly, you really can't go wrong with that. However, they're even better. They now offer a free service called www.logoease.com. This is an online service where you can create your own logo. Now, I'm not much of a pro se person. I would assume most attorneys aren't either, but if you do have a creative side and you'd like to create a logo, say, for marketing purposes or something ancillary to your main logo and you want to give it a shot, then you can go to logoease.com and not invest anything other than your time in trying to do it. Next, you have your business cards, you have your stationery, you need to print it out. You can certainly contact a local printer and establish a relationship with a local printer. That's a great way to go. But you can also use some online services as well. Listed here are two of my favorites, Vistaprint and Printing for Less. I will say Vistaprint comes out with some nice product, great colors, nice thick stock. However, they are of the GoDaddy mentality when it comes to the upsource. And you have to be very careful when you are purchasing that you do not leave any boxes checked that are automatically checked. You have to read every line because a lot of times Vistaprint will sneak something in that says they're going to sign you up for a club, and if you don't cancel in 30 days, they're going to bang your credit card. Being lawyers, I'm sure you're very careful when you're going through the sign-up process, so you would obviously see these things. but I just wanted to point it to your attention. And then there's printing for less. This is another service that good quality stock, fast turnaround time, and people who know what they're doing. So two great resources for your virtual printing. And they're going to be, of course, less than a local printer, on-site printer. So you got yourself set up, you've got your web host, you've got your print materials. Now what do? You have to actually control the incoming, I call it. There's nothing worse than trying to call somebody and getting their cell phone's voicemail or some other type of mechanism that really doesn't portray the professionalism one needs in this day and age. So you have two choices, really, and even back when I started, my one option was to install a second line into my home office. And that would have cost me several $100s, and along with the several $100s would have been $150 or so of a monthly fee to have that line. But I needed faxes. This was 2001, and the majority of my clients sent over their projects as faxes, so what was I going to do? Well, I did some research, and look what I found. I found OneBox. OneBox is unified messaging technology. Basically what that does is provides you with a toll-free number that accepts calls and faxes. So you give this number out to everyone, and from your web-based account, you let it know where to forward to. I'm sure a lot of people on this call are familiar with this type of technology through, say, Google Voice, but OneBox has actually been around a decade longer than Google Voice and offers not only the security of knowing that Google isn't speech recognition your voice transcripts for indexing, but also it's one of the only service providers out there that allow you to send yourself a notification when a voicemail or a call or a fax has been received, instead of actually transmitting openly through email what could be potential client work product. I say it all the time, email is more of a postcard than it is a sealed envelope. It's also an administrative nightmare, and you want to pull as many of your processes out of email as you can. Certainly anything that you would consider confidential should not be sent in an open email. Which brings us to Encrypt. There are options for securing your email, and this is a service that I tested last year and is a very easy to use service. What they do is they have an email to security platform, which helps law firms and corporations meet their email encryption regulations. A lot of times, depending on where you live, is how secure your emails have to be. Now, Encrypt includes intelligent enhancements such as secure large file transfer, real-time audit trails, complete message recall, and data leak prevention. Basically, it's like you sign in as you would, say, for Outlook, because it does use your regular email applications, but instead of sending through your regular domain, it sends everything through the Encrypt servers. So it's not an expensive product, and it allows people to continue to work the way that they're used to. It just encrypts the whole email process and is something that if you're sending large amounts of client confidential data or whatnot, you might want to take a look into. Encrypt. Along with your secure email, you need to have secure file storage. A lot of attorneys work with a lot of documents, and their clients need to see these documents, and one of the first companies I ever reviewed for this particular function is FileWorks. Alan Shaw, I did an interview with him, I think about 4 or 5 years ago, which you can find on my site. These people really understand security, and they really understand how attorneys work. Their product is very intuitive. I don't have a logo of it up, but there's another product that you can use for secure file transfer, and that's BackpackIt. BackpackIt. It's run by 37 Signals as an offshoot of their practice management solution, which is called Basecamp. More on Basecamp later, but BackpackIt is just a little one of their services that you can sign up for. I think they went up a lot in price. I remember when it was only $7 for 100 pages, but I believe it's now $49.99 for up to 100 pages. These are independent pages from each other. You can invite individual people to view the contents on individual pages. So it's a nice secure way for you to actually provide, say, 1 page per client, and then whenever you needed to deliver something to that client, you could add it to their page, and a notification will go out to them by email that something has been loaded. So not an expensive way for you to manage, say, the paperwork and documents necessary, transfer back and forth between you and 100 clients. That's BackpackIt. Now we're going to do some online shopping. My favorite thing. Actually, my favorite thing to do is snuffle out deals. There's, I don't know, call it my frugal Scottish genes, but there's nothing more fun for me than being able to find a piece of technology or a gadget and paying much less for it than anybody else does. One of the tools that I use to be able to snuffle out these bargains is a service called pricegrabber.com. And you go there and you enter a few keywords about the piece of equipment that you're looking for, and it will bring you up a list of all of the places that it's for sale and the cost, including shipping, if any. So it's a great way for you to compare prices and to get an idea of what the general median price would be for a particular piece of equipment. Once you go to PriceGrabber, though, go on over to tigerdirect.com. I've been using TigerDirect. I think I bought my first laptop, which was a ThinkPad, and that had to be about 2002, 2003. Really great deals you can find over there, a lot of overstock, and even their refurbished products are very high quality, and they're covered by warranty. So if you can save $100 or $200 on something that's refurbished but still have the warranty intact, it's certainly worth your to think about. You know, a lot of people don't like to buy used, and I can understand that, but when you have, say, maybe it's not for your office, maybe it's for one of your kids or something like that, then certainly Tiger Direct refurbished are a great option to save money. I'm going to go over here. We've got the Dymo printer. It's a tech, it's a gadget. I know, I kind of mixed up a little bit here, but the reason why I like the Dymo label printer is twofold. If any one of you have ever tried to print labels through a regular laser printer, you run into two obstacles. The first obstacle is sometimes those labels get stuck on the rollers, and then you have quite a mess on your hands. And second, 9 times out of 10, unless you're doing a full mailing, you're not going to use all the labels on a given sheet. The more times you put that sheet through the printer, the more likely one of those labels is to get stuck on the rollers. So it's not a very efficient way to make labels in a regular printer. My solution is the Dymo. One of the reasons why I recommend it so highly to attorneys is that up-and-coming Christmas card list, holiday list that you have to send all of those things out to. With your Dymo, all you have to do in Outlook is click on your contacts and hit the little Dymo button, and a little label pops out. You go through all of your contacts, hitting labels for anyone who gets a Christmas card, and guess what? It takes you about 5 minutes to get it all done, and you know, whoever has to put the labels on the cards, it's going to take them a little bit longer. Now, I do recommend that you get the Twin Turbo. You'll see that's the picture that I have up. Dymo does come with just a single roll or a double row. I like the Twin Turbo because the right side, you'll see even in the picture, is set up for postage. Dymo has an agreement with Endicia, which is an authorized seller of stamps.com. So there's no monthly fee involved with using Endicia, and you have the labels, and you can even weigh out postage if you want. The Dymo printer, you know, check PriceGrabber. The cheapest I've ever seen it was $77, but it's much more likely that you're going to find it in between $129 and $149. On top of that, you're going to have to purchase the labels. Depending on the label set, now everybody has different sizes, different things you're gonna spend for them, but honestly, the amount of time that it's going to save you and or your assistant in doing labels, definitely well worth it. Next tech/equipment gadget I'm going to recommend is a card scan. If you're like most lawyers, you have piles and piles of business cards. These are all potential clients and referral sources, and they're all just sitting there in stacks, having nothing done with them. That's what the card scanner is for. It's a simple little scanner for business cards. You hook it in USB when you want to go through some cards. It scans the cards. Its software pops up what the card looks like. It takes a picture, and it pre-populates all of the fields with the information on the card as best as it can. You know, some of these cards are really scrolly, and they have tons of information and funky graphics. So you do have to look at each one. But that's how the software is set up. It scans, and then it pulls up the information and the card, and it asks you to check a box whether or not this information has been verified. So if you have to make a change here or there, I'd say from scanning to verifying is about 30 seconds per contact. Not something that you want to do if you have thousands and thousands of business cards. It's not something you're going to want to do all at once, but over the course of time, you will build up your mailing list with these business cards if you do, 100 at a clip. Card scans you can get in any local office supply store. You don't need the color one. You can get the personal, unless of course you want to have color pictures. I didn't think of that as being such a big deal. They go on sale probably around $99 you'll find, but generally like the Dymo, they're going to run you about $150. Getting back to the tech and away from the gadgets, I'm going to talk to you about Belarc Advisor. Belarc Advisor is a tool that you can utilize on any Windows-based machine. You download and install it, and you run it, and up on your screen it will put a list of all of the information with regard to that machine. We're talking your hardware, your software, which versions, any updates you're missing. If you want to know what's going on with a particular machine, you just run Belarc Advisor and I usually do a print screen so that I get a printed out version. And I know some IT guys that actually print it out and have an envelope taped to the side of every machine where they place the Belarc report so that they can find that information very quickly if there's a problem. Next up, and again, sorry for the graphic, is CC Cleaner. Once you have a computer, you need to keep it clean because from all of the sites that you visit and all the computing that you do, it leaves a lot of stuff on your machine that can actually slow down its performance. To clean out all of this digital flotsam and jetsam, this is what I recommend, CC Cleaner. I run CC Cleaner every week, and it makes sure to clean out all of my temporary cache and the cookies and the whatnot that builds up, anything that you don't need. Now there's an internal Windows function for this as well, but I like CC Cleaner because I think it's just a little bit quicker and I think it's a little more intuitive to use. You can also utilize CCleaner to clean your registry. Now, anytime you download or install a program, you're actually changing your registry. Anytime you change your registry, you run the chance that something that you've already installed doesn't work. Because you may make a change that may affect another program, but you may not find out about it until later. So CCleaner allows you to actually clean your registry, but it asks you whether or not you want to create a backup of that registry just in case cleaning it ends up messing something up. So of course, if you're going to do a registry clean with CCleaner and it asks you to create a backup, just say yes. 9 times out of 10, you won't have to use it, but the one time that you don't, if Murphy's Law follows you as closely as it does me, the one time that you don't will be the one time that you wish you had. Now you have your new equipment. What do you need to put on it? You need to have your protection. There's 9 times out of 10 you're going to get a piece of equipment that has installed on it some corporate solution for security. It'll be a 30-day free trial whereupon you'll start getting charged a monthly fee, and is it worth it? If it's a tech that doesn't seem to be impeding the speed of your machine, I know McAfee is infamous for slowing down every process while it's running, so you don't want to pick that one. But if you don't, or you want to remove, or you don't want to pay for it, AVG is actually a free security antivirus protection, and you can download it off of their site. And it stops everything from coming in, and it helps you to make sure that all of the stuff that's out there that's trying to hurt you doesn't get at you. But it's not enough. Along with AVG, I also recommend Malwarebytes, and that's because they have different tools. So you can continuously be scanning with AVG and then do a scan with malware, and they'll find 2 different things. So both of them are free, so I say why not install them. Next comes, back it up, back it up, back it up, up, up. I say this to people all the time, back it up, back it up, back it up. It's not a question of if your machine is going to fail. It's a question of when. I've suffered through 2 crashes of 2 machines. I've been doing this 10 years. The first one was about 1.5 years in. The second one was at year 4. Other than that, I'm using the exact same machines. And I swear part of it is because Murphy's Law knows I'm backing up every night. I actually have 2 desktops. I'm a little weird in my configuration, I know. And one of them backs up to Carbonite, and one of them backs up to Mozy. So I've used both of these programs. Both of them work. Both of them are easy to set up. The only thing I do want to relay to you is it doesn't matter which online service you're using. Online restores take forever. So if it takes 3 or 4 days when you sign up for the account for your online backup to be full, think about that it's going to take 3 or 4 days for you to download everything again if you need to do a restore. I learned this the hard way because I have a Maxter OneTouch external hard drive that I was backing up to, and I decided to be cute and say, you know what, well, I'm backing up to Mozy every night, so why should I go through the extra process of backing up to my external hard drive? Well, that was the second crash, when it took Carbonite forever to restore my working files. And now what I do is I run my nightly backup still to my external hard drive, and that way if I ever have to restore anything, I only need to use Mozy or Carbonite if my external hard drive fails, which, you know, knock on wood, hopefully it won't. Next technology, yeah.
Oh, we have a couple questions. Thought maybe we could address a couple of them right now.
Oh, okay. I thought we would see questions. Okay, I don't see them.
Yeah, no, I have them right in front of me. So one question is about the CCleaner you're talking about. It says, I'm always worried about cleaning my registry or to use CCleaner. Can you talk about that some more?
Okay, yes, certainly. I'm nervous to touch my registry as well. Like I said, you know, sometimes you change something for one program and then later on you find out that another program has been negatively affected, which is why I like CCleaner. CCleaner will prompt you to make a backup of your registry prior to doing the clean. And if the clean should do something inappropriate, you can always go back and restore back to that registry backup. So it's a way of taking a little bit of the fear out of touching your registry. I do not run a registry clean weekly. If I do a registry clean once a month, once every quarter, that would be a lot. Just for fear, like you, that I'm going to touch something and it's going to be wrong. But so far I've been very lucky, and using CCleaner for the past, say, year and a half of doing this, I have not run into any registry issues.
And then one other question, this is, what about Mac protection?
Oh, you know, I meant to say this at the beginning of the call. I'm a Windows girl, and I know nothing about Macs. As a matter of fact, I may be going to MiloFest down in Orlando in November just so that I can learn about how to utilize Macs. I know a couple of the resources that I'm going to be giving you and I have given you are also usable on a Mac, but the primary stuff that I'm talking about is really only PC based because I don't know anything from Mac. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's all the questions I have right now. So.
Oh, cool. All right, so we're moving right along, and we're on Tech 17, and this is going to be Primo PDF. A lot of times if you don't have WordPerfect, WordPerfect has an internal PDF creator, if you didn't know. But those people who have Word need to create a PDF, and they don't necessarily want to install several licenses of Adobe. And a lot of instances, this is for people at home. This is for, you know, use when you're away from, say, your licensed Adobe Pro. I do think law firms really can best utilize Adobe Pro if they're going to pay for a PDF creation software. But that doesn't mean that that Adobe Pro license follows you wherever you go. And Lord knows you don't want to pay $700 for a program that is on every computer if you can have something else. And Primo PDF is the something else. It allows you to create PDF files that you can encrypt, that, you know, have security settings on them, that have all the bells and whistles that one would need for a PDF creator, and it's free of charge. I've been using it for 9 years. It's never had any issues. PrimoPDF.com is certainly a great way to go. What happens if you have a large file and you want to send it? If you send it by email, chances are not only is it going to really slow down your email server, but it might even make the person on the other end go over their quota. A lot of times, especially in corporate environments, people's emails have a quota. They have to do it that way. So if you send a large file and that goes over quota, then you're going to crash that person's email up to and including them not being able to accept any other messages until they clear out. So you certainly don't want to do that to anybody. And to alleviate the chance of it happening, if you have a large file, you can use a company called Send This File. Basically, you load your document up to your Send This File. You go to Send This File, you enter the email address, you load the file up. Send This File sends an email to the recipient with a link in it, and from that link they're able to download the document or the file. Of course, if you want to encrypt the file before you put it up, there's an added level of security. But I did talk to the principals of this company long time ago, and the gist of the entire conversation would be after 3 days, everything gets written over so many times they couldn't recreate it anyway, even if they had to. So Send This File is great. There's another one called yousendit.com. I haven't tested them, but I have heard good things. The reason why I like Send This File is it does have a send securely option, so that when the upload and the download happen, it's happening HTTPS, through the encrypted connection instead of just through an open connection. Send this file is great for that. Ooh, there we go. Log Me In. Log Me In is remote access technology. Great service, great service. When I was first in business about a decade ago, there was no such thing as a USB drive. I mean, let's face it, when I was in business, tapes were all around, although I still can't believe attorneys use tapes. So there was no real way for me to stay connected, and unless I was syncing my laptop, which anybody who's tried to sync information from a laptop to a desktop and keep it all synced at the same time understands that that's not an easy thing to do. So what was my solution? Log Me In. I am able to log into what I call LegalTypist's brain. I am able to manipulate the information and, more importantly, the software that's contained on my desktop. So, for instance, I travel a lot. I'm in Pennsylvania a great deal of time over the summer, especially, and what do I do if I have to get my client billings out? I utilize QuickBooks for my billing, so unless I wanted to install QuickBooks on my laptop and create a file and then sync it when I got back, the easiest way for me to do is actually take my laptop, log into Log Me In, remote control LegalTypist's brain, and manipulate the software as though I was sitting in front of my desk. Is it a perfect solution? No, because there is a lag time between the time that I tell it to do something on my end and the actual computer complies, but that's merely because there's a physical distance between us. Is it so lagging that it's difficult or it's not useful? Absolutely not. As a matter of fact, I just realized when I was using my tablet PC recently that I can actually get my bills done quicker using my touchscreen tablet PC versus using my desktop. So I may be using that for bills from now on. So Log Me In, it allows you to get at your desktop. It allows you to manipulate your existing software. It negates the need for you to be syncing things. It negates the need for you to carry around what could be potentially confidential information on a unencrypted USB or other drive. So, and for me, it's all about keeping the information secure. So that's why, right from the start, I enjoyed Log Me In. Then the only physical machine I had to make sure was secure was my actual desktop. And my desktop's, it's secure. Moving along, we're going to go to tech number 20, which is appointment setting. If anyone's ever tried to schedule appointments between multiple parties, you understand how difficult it can be. Appointment Quest is the first technology I tested for this. It allows you to put a widget up on your box. People select the time that's best for them. Everything's coordinated through email. There is a fee involved with Appointment Quest. It is not free, unlike the other tech you see, which is Tungle. Tungle is a free appointment setting application. It integrates with Outlook. It integrates with a lot of the popular email management software out there, so it can automate everything for you very quickly. The only thing I have to caution anyone using a free service for this type of thing is if it messes anything up or if it stops working, basically, SOL. Oh, well, they're not really going to, they're going to try to keep their customers happy, but if there's a weird, say, conflict between you and Tungle, it's not like Tungle's going to invest the resources in making sure that you're okay. So you do want to be careful when you're using any of the free services for an ongoing type of process, such as appointment setting. But these are two good ones. Digital dictation, one of my favorite technologies. Like I said earlier, I can't believe attorneys in this day and age are keeping the entire tape industry alive, but they are. They're the only ones left using it. Doctors went to digital about a decade ago. We're just waiting for the attorneys to catch up. Digital dictation is a wonderful, wonderful tool for anybody to get anything done. And the reason why is speaking is 7 times faster than writing and 4 times faster than your average keyboardist. Of course, if you're not an average keyboardist, dictation is going to actually be even better for you. It's going to give you more of an ROI. I like to point out to people that dictation is not all about documents. It's about delegating too. You can give instructions. You can tell people to do things just as easily with dictation as you can dictating documents. If you're not used to dictating, it can be a little daunting for people, but I'm going to say, give it a shot, because especially if your fingers are tired. If you're tired of having to enter information into multiple programs, and you have an assistant, number one, but that doesn't even matter anymore because you can find a virtual assistant to work with you. Provided that you're digital and these recordings are digital, you can work with anybody, anywhere. So it's really a great technology for attorneys to get the work done. There's yin and yang. Digital dictation is the yin, digital transcription is the yang. A lot of people like to pull this process apart and try to substitute a technology for the transcription part. I say you're going to lose most of your ROI that way because speech recognition technology is not to a point or a level where it's, I consider it day-to-day useful. You still have to talk like this. And that's even after the most recent release of Dragon Naturally Speaking that everyone is touting again how great it is. Of course, again, speech recognition software is only going to put characters on a page. It's not going to be doing any of the stuff that a live thinking brain can do in terms of transcription. That said, you have digital transcription. You need software in which to do it. You can't just use a regular audio software like Windows Media Player for transcription. It doesn't stop. It doesn't have the controls that one needs in order to do it. You can, but it will be a very long and laborious process. Let me put it that way. So what do you do? Here we go. Here's your free solution. It's called ExpressScribe, and it's by a company out of Australia called NCH SwiftSound. ExpressScribe is free professional audio player software. It works for PCs, Macs, or Linux and is designed to assist in the transcription of audio recordings. You install it on a typist's computer and they control the audio playback. They can do it either using a USB foot pedal or you can do a combination of hotkeys. I'm a WordPerfect girl from way back, so I prefer not to have another wire under my desk or a foot pedal. I just use the hotkeys. This is a completely free program. You can use it without restriction. Now, when it comes to the USB foot pedal, you can kind of go without it, but you must have a headset. You would be amazed at how much sound can be lost just even a foot away from the speakers. So if you need to order the USB foot pedal or you need to order a headset, I recommend transcriptiongear.com. Transcriptiongear.com is a great resource for that. Tech number 23. Yeah.
Oh, Andrea, yeah, one person just wrote in, going back to the slide about digital dictation, that they just replaced their tape dictating machine yesterday, so they're very interested in hearing more about this.
Oh, yay, bravo, bravo. Good for you. Actually, it's kind of weird. Upgrading from tape-based dictation to digital-based dictation can actually have very little difference for the dictator. The only difference would be instead of taking a tape and putting it on your secretary's chair, you're docking a digital recorder and everything is being done electronically. So it can be a pretty painless upgrade provided that you do it correctly with a slide switch. So I'd be interested to find out what kind of recorder they got. But I know that I'm running a little over, so I'm just going to run through these last slides really quickly and then we can take some questions. Event management, if you ever try to get people all together in one place, it's like wrangling tech, only worse. Eventbrite takes the hassles out of this. You set up an account, you set up your doings, and you invite people to them. It's really that simple. Even if it's a for-fee event that you're hosting, Eventbrite will capture payments through it and everything. So if you're going to put on any type of a seminar, definitely look into using Eventbrite. Conference calling, nobody needs to pay for conference calls anymore. I've been using Free Conference for 8 or 9 years now. They're one of the easiest. You basically call into a number. Generally speaking, it's in the Midwest somewhere. Everybody calls into that number. Free Conference lets you send out invites as well as do conferencing on the fly and recording. So if you need to do a conference call, check out Free Conference Call. Practice management used to be, legal has always had its own applications and software, and it used to be that all of these applications were desktop resident, or if you were more than one person, they were resident on a server in your office. Generally speaking, any type of software is expensive, it's difficult to maintain, and it's hard to get at when you're not in the office. So the resources that I recommend for these are Clio and Rocket Matter. Both of them are web-based practice management solutions. Both of them allow access to your practice information, your clients, your matters, your billing, and such from any internet connection. Clio seems to resonate with those who use Outlook or those who are Windows-based computer users. It has a very easy-to-navigate interface. It's a decent price point at only $50 per month per attorney, and it syncs with iPhones and most personal mobile devices to keep track of your billing that much easier. On the other hand, Rocket Matter seems to resonate more with Mac users, and they actually just upgraded the service to include IOLTA accounting, which is something very important to attorneys. Again, both of these companies I've checked keep all of their information on US-based servers, and they both have very active and responsive customer support departments. Okay, technology processing tech number 26 is credit card processing. Nothing increases your chances of getting hired or paid more than actually being able to accept credit cards. I know a lot of attorneys charge a $5,000 or a $10,000 retainer. Not many of us have that just lying around. That said, as attorneys, you have specific rules by which you need to hold on to any retainer money, which is why I recommend law charge. The owner is an attorney and has set up the process so as to be as economical as possible while maintaining an attorney's duty to keep retainer funds separate from operating capital. You'll also note here I have the PayPal logo. If you wish to accept funds outside of your practice, say you put together a guide or a book you want to sell from your website, then PayPal is a great solution for you. I do have one word of caution when it comes to PayPal. It was created for buyers, not sellers. So if a buyer later disputes your charge, and we're talking months and months later, PayPal can and will go right into the attached bank account and remove the disputed amount. In order to get around this possibility, I advise people to create 2 accounts at their bank, an operating account and a secondary account just for PayPal. When you receive PayPal payments, you transfer from the PayPal to your PayPal bank account and then from your PayPal bank account into your operating account, keeping your PayPal bank account at or close to 0. That way, if there's ever a dispute, PayPal can't go in and grab anything, and I would assume you'll just get a letter instead. Never followed that one through. Tech number 27 is e-zine delivery. We all know it's important to stay in regular contact with our clients, colleagues, and referral sources. The easiest way to do this is through a periodic e-zine. Mine is monthly, but even quarterly will do. When I first started, I don't think Constant Contact was yet even in existence. That's not to say I didn't try Constant Contact. I've also tested a lot of other delivery mechanisms, including the very popular MailChimp. What's the problem with them all? In many instances, you can sign up for free and send your e-zine to a small list at no charge. So what's wrong with that? What I found was that the free accounts say that they won't share your list with anyone, but that doesn't mean that they won't market their own services right to your own list. That doesn't work for me. I don't need anybody marketing to my attorneys. They get it enough. So the other problem with these types of services is once you get started with them, you're stuck. It is very difficult to switch your distribution service without losing subscribers. So my solution is a desktop resident software called GroupMail by Infacta. It uses your own domain and even Outlook to send out messages to any number of groups you set up. There's a one-time fee of about $130, but that means that you don't have any monthly payments to a service, which a lot of times gets their messages hung up in spam and junk filters, I might add. So GroupMail by Infacta. Nobody really knows about this one, but it's desktop resident email marketing for the most part. Twitter. What can I say about Twitter? For those of you on this webinar who are on Twitter, I bet you know me. I tweet lots of stuff, and I try to be economical about it, not just with the keystrokes, but with the information I'm imparting. Yes, potential clients have found me and have learned about me from Twitter. Do I recommend it to anyone? Yes. Give it a try. It's really not hard, and it's not really much of a time suck, unless you let it, of course. A lot of people say it's a huge time suck. You can only concentrate on it when you need to be concentrating on it, the way that you do email. Twitter will be fine. Now, I've heard of Twitter compared to networking in web space, but I disagree. I consider it more like instant messaging to the world. Well, to your followers, and then hopefully your followers will retweet it to the world. But before you go any further, if you are not on Twitter and you want a real quick education, go to LegalTypist.com/Twitter, and there you'll find my Twitter 101 guide. It's a bit dated, but I was once told by an attorney that it took them less than 3 minutes to scan, and they learned more from my guide than they did from books about Twitter. So certainly definitely worth the 3 minutes of your time to take a look at. Tech number 29 is Snopes. Sometimes you hear something and you can't believe that it's true and you want to check it. How do you check it? Snopes is the place. You go, you enter in a few keywords about the information that you're trying to find out, and it will let you know whether or not it's true or false, an urban legend. It'll give you information with regard to that particular item. So that's a pretty fun one, Snopes. Certainly if you get any emails from people warning you about stuff and send this all out to your list, before you send anything to any list, go to Snopes and check it out first. Your list will appreciate you for it. My last tech today is SoloSays. It's a legal listserv which is run by the ABA. It is open to the public, but mostly has legal types, attorneys, practice management advisors, legal vendors, a whole bunch of people all hanging out together. It's a very prolific list, which can have information ranging from latest decisions of various federal courts to how to care for cast iron pans. So it's a bit quirky. It's got a lot of big personalities on it. It's, again, very prolific. This is one of the things that I do recommend that you use Google for. Sign up with a Google address and let all the messages go into that address, and then you check that address as you have time, because literally over the course of a week, thousands of messages can come through. So if you use Google for that, you'll definitely be able to maintain it. And that was my 30 techs. Do we have any questions?
Yeah, great. There are a couple follow-up questions.
Yay.
One was, what was the name of the free conference calling site you mentioned?
Freeconference.com. There's one that's very similar called freeconferencecall.com, which I have seen. I haven't tested, which a few other VAs I know use. But since I only like to recommend those that I've tested, it's freeconference.com.
Great. The next question is what was the site for the headset and foot pedal you talked about?
That is www.transcriptiongear.com. Gear.com, Transcription Gear. Those guys I've seen at a couple of the legal trade shows. They know what they're talking about. You not only can get the transcription stuff from them, but if you want to order any digital recorders, you can. When it comes to digital recorders, I recommend that you either utilize, especially if you're used to a slide switch. There's the Philips 9600 is my favorite recorder to recommend right now because it has the same size and heft, even weight of an analog recorder. So a lot of the manufacturers tried to make their digital dictation units so small that anybody that's using it regularly for dictation that may not have diminutive fingers can't really manipulate it. So that's why I like the Philips 9600. The other one I recommend is Olympus DS5000. But if you do get that and you do want to use it with an assistant, virtual or not, you're going to have to make a change in the setting to make sure that it records in what's called classic mode. It's actually in the DS Player software on your desktop that you'd have to make this change in configuration. And I do have a YouTube video for anybody that wants me to. Just shoot me an email and I'll send you out that YouTube video to make the change. Olympus came out with a new proprietary software file called DS2. And unless you want to fork over anywhere from $175 to $300 for the transcription software just for the DS2 files, you can't use ExpressScribe to listen to them. So that's why it's better to make the change in your recording settings to the classic mode, and that way you won't have to worry about having to fork out another couple of $100 for transcription software you don't need.
Great. I don't see any other questions. A couple of people wrote in, so they found out about this webinar on Twitter, and several other people are saying thank you very much, Andrea, and that you provided great stuff.
Okay, great.
So yeah, so if there aren't any other questions, then I think we can wrap this up for today. And speaking of Twitter, though, Andrea, your Twitter handle is?
Oh, anybody. I'm LegalTypist everywhere. I have LinkedIn groups, I have Facebook fan pages, and I'm on Twitter. If you just Google LegalTypist, you're going to probably come up with a million of me. But if you're on Twitter, please do follow me on Twitter. I'll follow you right back again. I love meeting people on Twitter. It's just, I don't know, it's my favorite platform for connecting with people these days.
Great. Okay, well, thank you very much, everybody, for joining. And again, thank you so much, Andrea, for your time and all this great information today.